Mahabharata, Episode 4, Part 1, Training the Princes. Before we step into the training grounds of Hastinapura, remember, just as the Pandavas drew strength from their allies, this channel draws strength from you. If you enjoy these stories, subscribe, like, and share. Together, let us carry the Mahabharata far and wide. The return of the princes, the palace of Hastinapura stirred with life. The children of two brothers, Pandu and Dhritarashtra, were no longer infants. They had grown into boys, their laughter echoing in the courtyards, their small feet racing down the polished halls. The Pandavas had returned from the forests with their mother, Kunti, after the death of Pandu. Their eyes carried both grief and determination. The Kauravas, 100 strong, filled the palace with noise and energy, led always by Duryodhana, fierce and proud. Though they were cousins, they lived as brothers under one roof. But the walls of Hastinapura had ears, and even then, whispers passed. These boys will not remain brothers for long. Kripacharya, the teacher, to shape the young princes, Bhima summoned Kripacharya, master of arms, wise and stern. Kripa stood tall, his beard streaked with age, his eyes sharp with discipline. He gathered the boys before him, both Pandavas and Kauravas, and said, "You are princes of the Kuru line. You are the heirs of Bharata. You must master not only weapons, but yourselves. For without discipline, strength is wasted. Without control, courage is folly." From that day, the courtyards of Hastinapura became training grounds. At dawn, the boys awoke to the sound of horns. They ran laps across the palace yards, dust rising behind their feet. They lifted weights of stone and iron. They learned to shoot with bows, to strike with spears, to parry with swords. At first it was a game. The laughter of children mingled with the clang of wood against wood. But soon, contests of strength became serious. Pride entered their games. And rivalry, silent at first, began to stir. Bhima's feats of strength among all the boys. One stood apart. Bhima, son of the wind. Even as a youth, his strength was unmatched. He wrestled with 3 or 4 cousins at once, throwing them to the ground as though they were rag dolls. He lifted weights the others could barely move. He ran faster, jumped farther, ate more than all of them combined. One day, during a game of wrestling, Bhima caught Duryodhana by the waist and flung him high into the air. The crowd of boys gasped as Duryodhana crashed into the sand, dazed and humiliated. On another day, the boys played by the river. Bhima leaped into the water, splashing, laughing. With a single arm he dragged 3 Kauravas beneath the surface, holding them like fish in a net until they spluttered and begged for release. The Pandavas roared with laughter, but the Kauravas did not laugh, and Duryodhana's heart burned hotter with every humiliation. Duryodhana's envy. Duryodhana was eldest of the Kauravas, heir to Dhritarashtra's throne. He was strong, skilled, and proud. But beside Bhima he seemed small. Every time Bhima bested him, the wound cut deeper. His fists clenched, his teeth ground. One day he swore silently, "I will see Bhima fall. I will wipe that laughter from his lips." At night, while the other boys slept, Duryodhana lay awake, staring at the ceiling beams of the palace. He thought not of games, but of vengeance. Envy, sharp as a blade, had entered his heart. Rivalries within the palace still echoed with laughter. The boys still played as cousins, but the contests had changed. No longer were they harmless games. Every race was a battle. Every wrestling match a war. Every victory a reminder. Every loss a seed of anger. The people of Hastinapura watched with pride, unaware that beneath the dust of the training yards, the roots of hatred had already begun to spread. And though the boys were still young, destiny had already marked them. Bhima, the mighty storm, Duryodhana, the jealous flame, 2 forces that would one day clash, not in games, but in blood. Closing call to action, the princes of Hastinapura were still children, but envy had already entered their hearts. From laughter to rivalry, from play to pride, the seeds of war had been planted. If you wish to walk further into this story, subscribe, like, and share. Just as the Pandavas needed allies, this channel needs yours. Together, we will carry the Mahabharata's voice to every corner of the world.